Welcome back, comic fans, to another episode of This Week in Comics. My name is Yule. Every week I run down comics I'm looking forward to, comics that I read, and we count down the top 5 fantastic comics sold last week. But before we begin, what do you think of our new background? The top 5 this week is dominated by DC Comics. At number 5 this week, we have Justice League number 8. This is written by James Tynion with art by Michael Janin. It is one of those villain issues. At number 4, we have Batman number 55. Not much more to say than that. Coming in at number 3, we have The Return of Wolverine number 1. This is a 5-issue miniseries written by Charles Soule. Oh yeah, and it also brings back Wolverine. At number 2 this week, we have Mr. Miracle number 11. This is the penultimate issue of this 12-issue story, written by Tom King with art by Mitch Gerads. Excellent stuff. And at number 1 this week, we have Batman Damned number 1. This is written by Brian Azzarello with art by Lee Bermejo, and it is the first offering of DC's adult Black Label line of comics. I got 2 books to talk about this week. One isn't as big as you might think. Batman Damned number 1 came out from DC Comics this week, and it was already a sellout nationwide. It's written by Brian Azzarello, it has art by Lee Bermejo, and it's DC's new Black Label line, which threatens us that it's going to be mature. And boy was it. But before we get into all that, let's start with the artwork. Lee Bermejo is excellent, and anybody that's seen his work knows what to expect. Although I will say that the storytelling from panel to panel isn't quite there, as far as the book is concerned. It's very reminiscent of those old Alex Ross Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman books that he did about 15 years ago, where we get a main central character in the middle of a page and little corresponding panels. But as far as working sequentially, it's not super tight. But again, the artwork is excellent, and again, anybody that likes his work is definitely going to enjoy this. Azzarello's storytelling, on the other hand, I'm not so sure I really cared about it. It seems that the Joker is dead, and maybe the Batman's involved. He doesn't know. He was bleeding and dying, and he can't remember a thing. He meets up with Constantine. In fact, Constantine is actually the narrator of this book. That's kind of an interesting that in a Batman book that John Constantine would be the narrator. And there's also an appearance by Zatanna. She's like a street magician. So like little elements like that are cool with this book. But as far as the story being developed, it kind of didn't. There were some interesting things when dealing with Bruce's past. It seems like his father liked to cheat on his wife. That's interesting. But again, as far as the narrative, as far as the main story, it just didn't really do it for me. And then there's the elephant in the room, if you will. For those of you that don't know, since this is a mature line, DC decided that it would be okay if they show Batman's penis in this comic book. Which for an adult line doesn't seem to be really edgy anymore. I mean, I know we're in America and sex sells. And this book definitely sold. It sold out nationwide. It sold out in our store. It sold out in most other stores. But that just shows you what kind of ghouls people that buy comics can sometimes be. I mean, we had hungry ghosts. People were coming in for it like crazy after Anthony Bourdain died and, stuff like that. That aspect of this book is very difficult. I'm sorry, that's a little bit of a tangent. Going back to the penis, this is an alternate universe. So the one thing that's kind of cool is that we know how we can measure up to Batman in this universe. But in the real DC universe, I think it's safe to assume Batman has a hog, quite the hog. In fact, he calls it his Bat Hog. Going back to the mature line as far as DC is concerned, since this is going back to a second print, it has been announced that when it does, the penis is going to be digitally removed. Supposedly from the digital comics it already had been. You were never able to get it, which makes sense because you never know when a little kid is going to be reading this book. And heaven forbid if they see the Batwing. It's not really brave of DC to go and edit it afterwards. It just kind of seems lame. Seems limp. Overall, I think this was an okay book, and I'll probably read the other 2 issues. It was easy to digest, but it was okay. Black Badge number 2 is from Boom Comics. It's written by Matt Kindt with art by Tyler Jenkins, and it tells the story of scouts that are working secret missions for the government. So, what happens when super secret scouts get involved with other super secret scouts? Because that's what happens in this book. You see, our guys, the Black Badges, are supposed to release the last train car that they are in so that they can go run a mission in Russia. But they are encountered by a Canadian group who we find out later on has been sent to spy on the Black Badge so they can report to their superiors what's been going on. All the while, the Black Badges are supposed to infiltrate a Russian prison to get a prisoner released. So when the train car goes careening off the mountainside, the 2 groups have to get together and pool their energies to make things happen. It's pretty interesting. They don't really enjoy each other's company quite a bit, and there is a fight. There's a tiger. There's really good artwork. In fact, Tyler Jenkins has a very, I guess I'm going to say, an expressionist style when it comes to it. So not everything is very easy to understand specifically. But overall, the story is really well told visually, and I really like the characters a lot also. They're pretty well done, but overall, since there's so many factors going on, you don't get any one character really being fleshed out too much. Overall, it's a pretty good action story, and unlike the first one, this one leaves off with a cliffhanger. I'm really enjoying the series, and I think most people should be picking this one up. It seems safe for everyone. I like it a lot. Matt Kindt does a good job, and he always has. So yeah, Black Badge number 2. Pick it up. The beauty of comics is that there is something for everyone, and this week is proof of that. Heroes in Crisis number 1 is coming out from DC Comics. This is a 7-issue miniseries written by Tom King with art by Clay Mann. It deals with superheroes suffering from PTSD. We already know of a few superheroes like Kid Flash that have been shunted off into this safe space, kind of like a place where they can relax. Anyway, supposedly one of the superheroes, or I don't know, a person in the DC universe is going to be dying soon. I think it's within this series. You should check it out. Tom King's pretty popular. He does Mr. Miracle. He writes Batman, and like I said, Clay Mann's doing the art, and he's very good. So, highly recommend it. Check it out. Doomsday Clock number 7 is coming out. What more can I say about an awesome series written by Jeff Johns with art by Gary Frank? Everybody's reading it. Pick it up. Extermination number 3 is coming out. It is continuing the miniseries that sees the young X-Men getting put back into their universe, making the regular Marvel universe nicer for everybody. For fans of horror anthologies, look no further than Fantasmagoria number 1. It's going to be published by Starburns Industries Press with writing by Eric M. Esquivel, who's most known for his recent work on Bordertown for Vertigo Comics. And these horror stories are going to be based in Mexican and American Southwest myth. I think that sounds pretty cool, and you should check it out. Ever since the Source Wall was destroyed in Justice League No Justice, there have been additions to the Justice League universe. We've gotten the regular team, we got Justice League Dark, and now we have Justice League Odyssey. It's going to be written by Joshua Williamson, who I personally like. He does Flash, and he just recently did Deathbed. And it's also going to have art by the very hard to pronounce Steven Sepchik. So, if you're into the Justice League, if you're into some, I think Darkseid's going to be in this, how's that going to work out? You should check this one out. Maneaters number 1 is by Image Comics, and it is about women that are affected by toxic plasmosis during their time of the month. They turn into raging animals, and they like lycanthropy, and I guess they're going to be killing dudes for whatever reason. Sounds like a pretty funny premise. It is also of note that Chelsea Kane is the writer of it. She did Mockingbird for Marvel and pissed a lot of people off during that series, much to do with that Feminist Agenda t-shirt. So if you weren't offended, or if you were and you love to hate buy, this is definitely the book for you. For those of you that read Saga in trade paperback form, shame on you. But it's your chance to catch up because Volume 9 is coming out, and I highly recommend it. The last few sagas have been some of my favorite stories in the whole series. Boy, there's some amazing things to come. Come and talk to me when you're done with it. Fans of Stranger Things are going to want to check out this book from Dark Horse Comics. It's continuing the stories of your favorite characters. I am interested to see how the 80s themes are going to be able to play out in comic book form, but I'm really excited about anything that's pro D&D. Stranger Things. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into another episode. We really appreciate it. And if you do, you should give us a thumbs up. Also, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And it's going to be a while until we have another episode up, probably like 4 weeks. Sorry to tell you that. I know you've been really looking forward to my reviews. You're going to just have to come in store to find out what I think about comics. In the meantime, you should be checking out the Comic Cast podcast if you're into that type of thing. Or if you want to remain on YouTube, you should check out the Mutant Agenda. Cody does all sorts of comics that are X-Men related, and I highly recommend you check those out. Until next time, see you in about a month. He's licking me. Just licking me.